I'm Bob McDonald, and you're listening to CBC Radio's Quirks and Quarks. Last week on the program, we had a discussion about autism that generated a great deal of response from listeners across the country, and we wanted to share some of it with you today. Our feature profiled an unusual team of scientific researchers in Montreal, Dr. Laurent Mautrin, an established autism scientist, and his collaborator, Michelle Dawson, a woman with autism but no formal scientific training. Ms. Dawson presented a radical and controversial view of autism, claiming it's not a disorder or a disease, and therefore does not need to be treated or cured. Because of that, she has opposed public health care funding for certain autism therapies. To help me read some of the reaction we received, I'm joined by freelance science journalist Alison Motluck, who introduced us to Ms. Dawson last week on the program. Hi, Alison. Welcome back.
Hi, Bob. Nice to be back.
Why don't you start with the first email?
Okay, this is from Kim Putty, a mother of twins with autism, and she writes, "It's not just a tragedy to sweep this problem under the rug. It's repugnant. Autism therapy programs help autistics understand and communicate in a world made by and for non-autistic people. No doubt the cost of these programs is becoming prohibitive due to the increased number of people diagnosed with the disease. How convenient it would be if we could snap our fingers and decide autism is not a problem, just another way of life. Then we wouldn't even have to question why the incidence of it is rising so rapidly."
Dr. Ursula Lee, a member of the board of the Autism Society of BC, has these comments. "I was extremely disappointed in the airtime you gave Michelle Dawson and the notion of autism as a normal variant of being human. Ms. Dawson, and your show by extension, do great harm to children who are struggling to learn skills in order to become independent adults, and to their parents who want nothing more than to provide the best future for their children. My son, who is autistic, is perfect and no less wonderful than his two brothers. But the world will not see him this way, and will think nothing of allowing him to spend the rest of his life in some state-run group home or institution. My mission, and that of millions of parents, is to equip my child with the skills he will need to cope in this world when I'm gone. For a scientific program, this show did not provide any credible science at all."
Yvonne Newport had this to say, "I was disappointed by your one-sided approach in your piece on autism. Having worked with children with autism for the past 10 years, using Lovaas ABA therapy, I was both sad and angry that someone could suggest that these children don't need help, and that families spending thousands of dollars each year to improve their children's lives should not be given support. Autism is a spectrum disorder. There are people like Ms. Dawson who are lucky enough to have fluent use of language and who have the ability to know that riding the public transit system will be too overwhelming and so choose not to do so. They are able to cope with their disability reasonably well. But there are also people with little or no language, people who become so frustrated by their disability that they injure themselves and are completely incapable of functioning in our society. A show like the one you broadcast last Saturday does so much harm to the cause of those seeking to provide treatment to children who desperately need it. I do hope